2021-22 year, we brought in $68.3 billion in revenue and spent $64.4 billion to support public services, including helping Albertans and the healthcare system through the pandemic and into recovery. In the end, that means Alberta's government ended the fiscal year with a surplus of $3.9 billion compared to the $3.4 billion deficit forecasted at the end of the third quarter. Over half of the reported surplus, more than $2 billion, is due to a partial reversal of the onerous contract provision for the Sturgeon refinery as the Minister of Energy renegotiated a better deal for Alberta with a new ownership framework. The remaining portion of the surplus is due to several key factors. Alberta's government made strategic spending decisions based on responsible fiscal management, offering targeted funding so ministers could provide services Albertans needed. Second, the economy bounced back and saw growing investment in our province as many sectors expanded inside Alberta. Investors were attracted by the job creation tax cut and by the Alberta government's diversification efforts to support sector growth in technology, film, agri-food, hydrogen, carbon capture projects, and other sectors outside of oil and gas. Finally, the price of oil jumped significantly in the last 2 months of the fiscal year, driving oil and gas revenues here at home. I've seen a lot of speculation lately about a potential surplus and how the government should immediately spend it. Let me tell you, most Albertans have witnessed volatile resource revenues before and dealt with the fallout when governments went right out and spent excessive revenues as soon as they had it. The fact is, what goes up will come down. That's why we have focused on savings for the future, reduced the burden of debt, making life more affordable for Albertans, and continued to bring our spending down in comparison to other provinces in our country. Within this fiscal update, we have invested the most ever for inflation inside the Heritage Trust Fund to be able to make sure that it's topped off. We will be bringing forward legislation in the fall to be able to make it that we can invest more of the earnings from the Heritage Saving Trust Fund back into it. Right now, the legislation only allows for us to invest up to CPI. And we want to be able to provide an opportunity to put more money into the savings or to the Heritage Trust Fund going forward. We also want to and will continue to bring forward plans to reasonably pay down the debt. There's still about $95 billion worth of debt in our province, and we need to make sure that we move forward with the plan on that. Simultaneously, what has changed since we put forward those parameters in the last budget on how we would deal with the surplus is the inflation situation across the world is requiring governments to take action for affordability measures. And so we will be using some of the surplus to do that. We already are, with the fuel tax removal alone. That's about just over $600 million this last quarter and the quarter that we're heading into. And if it was to go for the whole year, it would be a little over $1 billion. And so in the last 3 months or so, we've announced about $2 billion in affordability measures. And we see that as an important part of how we would invest some of the resources that we're gaining through the windfall in oil and gas revenues.